Hello everyone, this is Spectra. Welcome back to the Land of Empires, and today we're going to test out the Season 10 heroes. Now these heroes came out about a few days ago, and we have had a couple of days to test them in the Arena of Legends. And right now the current sentiment, I'm just going to dive straight into it, is that Joan of Arc, she is a decent hero the moment she uses her ultimate skill. If she does not use her ultimate skill, then she does not confer much at all protection to the backline, that being the cavalry as well as the archer. Although interestingly, as I'll get into either in a bit, the season 10 cavalry is actually very, very tanky. He's almost like an infantry. But going back to Joan of Arc, she is quite good if you awaken her. This 40% um, this 40% charge value at the beginning of the battle, this will put her right at 100%. So in other words, the moment she awakens, she will use her rage skill at the very beginning of the battle. And then she will also get an additional 20% charge speed bonus until the end of the battle. And this is really important because versus a lot of previous season compositions, such as Season 8 Khufu, a lot of these heroes actually have skills that reduces your charge value. So this hero, you can see it reduces the charge value by 40%, and he uses this ultimate skill the moment he steps into the battle. So in other words, if you're going against Khufu, then your Joan of Arc may not use her ultimate skill in time or at all through the entire course of the battle. And this is especially the case against heroes such as the Season 9 Cavalry. I'm trying to find him right now. He is right here. Yeah, the Prince of Moria. And he has this particular passive skill, which is actually the ultimate skill right here. So while this effect lasts, they lose 5% of their charge value upon taking any damage. So if your Joan of Arc is not utilizing her awakening skill right at the beginning of the battle, which allows her to use her rage skill, of course, then you can kind of find yourself in a situation where she isn't able to use this skill at all. And what ends up happening is that your archer pretty much dies right away, especially the Season 10 archer who surprisingly doesn't have any self-protection. So this was kind of the case for all the previous season archers, but they ended up like fixing that after we called it out. We saw that the archer just simply died too fast. So first I kind of started with Leona, and then after 2 buffs, they gave her this particular part of her second passive skill, and it reduces the damage taken from rage skills by 80%. Now, when Leona first came out, she did not have this skill. We had to ask the developers multiple times until they buffed her twice eventually, and Leona ended up working really well back in Season 7. And when we got Season 8, was he ever buffed? I'm not actually too sure whether the Season 8 hero was ever buffed simply because Season 8 was really strong when it came out, especially with like Lubu, and Cyrus was actually also quite good himself, and he's still quite good once after Season 9 came out in a lot of different compositions. And when the Season 9 Archer came out, he kind of had no self-protection either. And he just was completely wasted in a majority of the clashes. And eventually, after begging the developers, they added this protection to the Archer hero, where the Cavalry and Archer hero takes reduced basic attack damage. So this was not part of his skill before, and it was just about increasing the rage skill of your Cavalry and Archer, the rage skill damage. So going back to Joan of Arc, awakening her appears to be very, very essential. If you do not have her awaken, a possible alternative is to run Khufu instead of her. So you're going to be running Khufu and then combine Khufu with the Season 10 Cavalry. So if you do not have Joan, Khufu, whether he's awakened or not, because his awakening skill really doesn't do anything, is potentially an improvement over non-awakened Joan of Arc. So moving on to the Cavalry hero now. And the reason why the Cavalry hero is so damn tanky is if we take a look at like another season Cavalry hero, during the first 15 seconds of the battle, increases the final HP of your infantry troops by 150%. So this is an increase to the final HP, which I believe is a direct multiplication of his actual like HP. So the final HP, whatever that means, it might just be a multiplier. But if we take a look at the difference between this skill and compare it to the Season 10 Cavalry skill, it is a direct increase to your troops' final defense and HP by 200%. So this skill is at a very minimum twice as good as the Season 9 Cavalry's passive skill 1. And yeah, it makes it really interesting because even after the infantry dies, like even after your opponent's infantry dies, you're not out of the woods yet. You have to kill the cavalry. He might end up surviving and killing your entire team. So in conclusion, I think based on the preliminary observations, is that the Season 10 Cavalry is very, very good. And his awakening skill is nothing to scoff at either. It reduces all the enemy's units' final attack, defense, HP, and ferocity by 10%. Now, if this is a simple subtraction, then it will be completely useless. But based on what we know about the final wording, it is likely more of a multiplier. And what this ends up doing is that it reduces your enemy's entire team's ability to fight by over 40%. And that is really impactful, I think. It means that they will take 20% more damage and deal 20% less damage. That is basically my interpretation of it. Or 21% if you want to be pedantic. But yeah. And he also has other self-protection skills. For example, the first 15 seconds after the battle begins reduces damage taken by your troops from rage damage by 75%. And that basically means that he's not going to take any damage the first 15 seconds of the battle. And of course, we have his rage skill, which deduces the charge value from the target troop by 40%. So if you are going against a non-awakened Joan of Arc, for example, then there's a possibility that the cavalry hero is going to screw her up. And finally, the archer hero, I'm not too sure what his role currently is, because this skill, I think, is simply a nerfed version of this skill. So this skill gives you a 20% charge value every time your hero performs a normal attack. And the other skill here is every 3 seconds. So when your hero performs a normal attack, the cycle is about every 2 seconds. So I'm not too sure how impactful 3 seconds is. So I realize that we're actually running out of time right now. The reset is almost about to happen. So we're just going to dive right in. And really, for the first 5 minutes here, I really want to kind of see overall the power of this particular combination. So this combination consists of the Season 10 Infantry as well as Cavalry. And the Season 9 Archer is really just there to give me one moment, tripping on my words a little bit here, to give the cavalry a bit more of a damage boost. So we're going to review these battles after the fact, but right now we only have about 5 minutes left. So I actually saw that my hero did not seem to perform too well here. The archer died right away, so I might need to change the archer. But yeah, let's go right in here. And what I'm kind of looking for is the survivability overall of the team, as well as the one-on-one potential. So yeah, Crimson Knight might be a good example here. So I'm going against 889 here. I expect to win. And I do win without anyone dying, so that's quite good, I think. Because full season 10 was actually quite bad against 779, against 998. Apologies for that. So I also won that battle. That was Crimson Knight again, and this is Crimson Knight again. I'm facing him 3 times in a row. So Bitst is running. We still have 4 minutes until reset, so we can kind of take a look at the composition in more detail here. So I guess one thing I kind of want to pay attention to is how my archer is dying. So I can see that I'm actually performing very poorly here, and I kind of want to see the reason why. So the cavalry is doing a lot of damage, and his cavalry is doing a lot of damage as well. So you can kind of really see the power of the cavalry here. And I'm just going to finish up the next battle right now, and then I'll go back to look at some of these replays. So Bitst, he is running 969. Let's just take a look at this battle. We have about 3 minutes. Yeah, let's just take a look at this battle. So I kind of want to see who is doing the most damage here. So he is not taking too much damage. And this could partially be attributed to the Season 10 Infantry's first passive skill, where you don't actually do that much damage for the first XX, for the first like 20 seconds of the battle. So I see that my infantry is actually kind of dying, which is a bit surprising here. But you can see that my cavalry remains fairly tanky even after the death of my infantry. So this is now kind of a one-on-one, but both sides kind of die. But still, I don't think overall my team performed well against Bitst. So that is actually not very good. So now what I'm going to quickly try is what happens if I switch out this archer to, I don't know who I want to actually switch out to. Maybe someone who has more self-protection. Let's see if I have the proper gears on Leona, just to quickly double check. I don't, so I'm kind of glad I double checked here. So I'm just going to remove your equipment, because I know that Leona is somewhat more tanky than the other archer. We have 1 minute. Let's just solidify our composition and dive straight in. We have this, and whatever this is. I'm just going to forego the archer because I think he is absolute trash. So let's use this composition, and yeah, let's go in. So now we can kind of take a step back and watch the battle in earnest. This is a fairly classic 9-5-9-8 composition. It is pretty good back in Season 8. So let's take a look at its performance now. I can see that my infantry is taking a surprising lot of damage, which is really not good. My archer died, so we can confirm that Leona is not good in this team. And I'm doing pretty much 0 damage to General, surprisingly. Yeah, that was really, really poor performance. I'm wondering if the Season 9 archer, if the Season 10 archer can address that, or whether the Season 9 archer is required, because I do think that the Season 9 archer is quite good versus that team in particular. But that was really, really bad. I think what ended up happening is, I actually do not know what ended up happening, because these two heroes simply could not perform at all. Interesting result. I know General is quite a bit stronger than me, but that was still very surprising to see. So let's take a look at what Banshee Queen is running. So this is a classic composition. We're just gonna quickly try the Season 10 archer hero in that team. So we're gonna run full Season 10. So you have your equipment here. Let's switch out Leona's equipment and equip it on the archer hero from Season 9. Let's fix up our teams real quick. So now I'm going to run full Season 10 and see how that works out. And the thing that I want to pay attention to in this first confrontation is the damage that my archer is able to deal, as well as the damage that he takes. Was my infantry's rage skill not active? Because I don't think Banshee is very strong compared to me. Let's double check that real quick. So at the beginning of the fight, I do expect my infantry to have her rage skill active, and that skill should in theory last more than long enough. So I'm using my rage skill right now, and let's see when it runs out. It shouldn't have run out yet, and my archer still dies. That's really surprising. Really, really surprising. Definitely not something that I expected, for sure. Let's quickly check to see how much damage I am dealing here. So the archer just got off a couple normal attacks and then croaked immediately. Yeah, that's really interesting. It does seem like the archer is just really bad versus a majority of team setups. In particular, considering how much weaker my opponent was compared to me. So I guess we go back to the season 9 archer, but that's because we saw in previous battles that the season 9 archer isn't really good at sustaining himself either. Yeah, that is quite tricky indeed. And I'm not too sure about like utilizing a season 6 archer, because why not? Let's just try it. I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but my opponent here is reasonably strong. Let's just see what happens. So this is the season 6 archer, or season 5 archer equipped with the season 6 archer's armament. Let's just see what happens. The reason why I was so hesitant on utilizing this kind of setup is that the season 10 infantry hero really does no damage at all, and the season 6 archer's specialty is to boost the infantry damage. So if the infantry is incapable of doing any damage, then what will the result be? What I'm kind of hoping is that the infantry will maybe take a little less damage. So this team is vanquished, but once again, let's take a look at how much damage the infantry dealt. If the infantry did not do much damage, then the season 6 archer is definitely not the answer, I would think. Yeah, the infantry did absolutely nothing here. So yeah, going back to the list of archers, really, maybe we'll try season 8 for a round. So I think this is a good time to compare. So we faced bits before. Let's use some season 8 archers. And do I need to switch out anything here? Yeah, I don't know. Let's just do this. So the last time we faced Bitst, we won against his first team, just barely. So let's see if this is an improvement at all. And from his side, let's see who did the most damage. It's actually the season 6 Cavalry. But anyways, let's go in here. Check my composition one last time. So this is going to be against some composition that we barely won before. So if the season 8 archer is better than the season 9 archer, then I do expect a more convincing win here. And let's see if we could pull that off. Okay, my archer immediately took kind of a heavy hit here. I see that his team is not taking any damage at all, at least not yet. That could be partially attributed to the cavalry hero skill. Okay, I lost a lot of HP on my infantry, which is not good. His archer is still alive, which is also not good. And okay, I'm probably gonna win this again, but really not the way I wanted to win it. So I'm seeing myself in the same situation as last battle, where my infantry dies, but my cavalry is just so damn tanky. So we actually did do better, but probably not because of the archer. So we won again, just barely. But I can see that my archer did absolutely nothing, but my cavalry was able to do a little bit more, which is somewhat interesting, I guess. So looking at my cavalry from the previous battle, I used, I guess, a similar amount of troops. And yeah, I'm not too sure. So Crimson Knight, I think this is a good point to actually awaken my cavalry hero, because I mentioned earlier that the cavalry hero's awakening skill looks to be quite good, at least in a 1v1 scenario. So now I should be able to get myself enough shards to awaken him. So let's see if we could do that really quickly. I need about 40 to 45 fragments, I believe, to awaken him. So I'm gonna claim this chest real quick and collect some extra fragments from here. 18. Let's see how many more we need. Okay. So we need, okay, we don't need too many more. So let's just do this. Let's see. Where is the hero packs? There they are. Let's just, how many fragments did we need again? Like, let's just buy this one. All right, now let's max our cavalry hero. That was a poor move from me. I should have used these chests first. I do not know why I didn't, but I think I just needed 6 fragments or 7 fragments. All right, now he is maxed. And I'm really looking forward to like the difference between the damage that I'm able to deal as well as the reduced damage that I take. All right, now let's quickly check the composition I used against Crimson Knight in the previous battle. So I used 145,000 infantry, 127,000 cavalry, and about 100,000 archer. Let's just check that again. 145, 127. So let's update our formation to reflect that, and let's fix our heroes to that as well. 145, 127, and the remaining. Okay, that's good. So now we have, I don't know what to do with this team, to be honest. So we have our setup back again. All right, let's dive in. So there's two things I want to look at. First of all is how different the two fights are. And second of all, how much reduced damage and increased damage I'm dealing. If I'm dealing exactly 10% increased damage, then that will mean for certain, or exactly 20 to 22% more damage, then it'll be certain that that the final wording multiplier works. I mean, it's a multiplier rather than some kind of addition. So let's take a look at the result here. I do see that my result is better. And if we could capture the actual number. So I guess what I'm looking at here is the damage that my infantry takes. So let's take a look at the third number. So 10185. So I took about 10,800 damage there, presumably from the cavalry or from the archer. So now we're going to take a look here. So remember that number, 10,800. So it goes from 10,800 when I awaken the cavalry to 12,400. 12,400. Let me bring out my quick calculator here. 12,400. Do I have a? Yes, I do. So I took 12,400 divided by 10800. So I took about a 15% damage. So this is close enough, I would say. It is definitely some kind of multiplier. I'm sure the other hero skills also reflect that. And just to double check, we could take a look at the increased damage that we are dealing to Crimson Knight. So before awakening, I dealt, let's take a look at the third number as well here. Before awakening the cavalry hero, I dealt let's just use the 5,300 number. So I dealt 5,300 damage. So that was the second number. Let's pay attention to the second number once again. So it goes from 5,300 to 6,000. Did you see that? Was it 6,300? Let me check that again. Let's play it back. 6,579. So 6,500 divided by 5,300. And it is a 22%. So yeah, about a 21% increase. So I think that's pretty convincing to me. Final damage means a direct multiplier to your stats. If your HP and your defense, if your final HP and your final defense get reduced by 10% each, then you're going to take 21% more damage. That's basically, yeah. I think that explains the skill very well. As for why defensively it was a little different, that was probably a result of skill interactions by other skills that reduce damage as well. So yeah, I think overall the Cavalry Awakening skill is very good and will probably be very good with armor as well, because this is a direct 40% universal debuff, and it is equivalent to an entire glorious tier if you think about it. Usually an entire glorious tier will confer a 10% to 15% extra damage and reduced damage taken for the tier, and this is a 21% increased damage and reduced damage taken. So this is even more than a whole glorious tier. So yeah, very impressed by the Cavalry hero. The Infantry hero, not very impressed, to be honest. I think she's important. I think she can help defend the Cavalry hero, but overall, I think she's not very tanky, and she also fails to defend the Archer hero. That's the biggest issue for the Infantry hero. But if you're going to awaken any hero, really, I'm not too sure yet. I think it is still too early to really know who is good and who is not good. If we take a look at my other clashes with Crimson Knight, we can see that the second battle I won in this case, and in the other case I lost, but just barely. So it is not really too big of a difference. Now I guess the question is, if the season 9 infantry hero, if the season 10 infantry hero is not doing the job, who can? And to that, I'm not too sure, to be honest. Like even back in season 8, we could not really use any other combinations very effectively. There were some combinations that worked in direct clashes involving Neptune Arc, but those were very specific counters. And I do not think Neptune Arc will work very well in a general circumstances, because this is a hero that attempts to deal damage, and I don't think that works very well in the context of season 10. This infantry hero, the season 9 infantry hero, it has some self-protection, but it doesn't really protect the backline either. Like, increase your troops skill damage by 100%, this bonus decreases by 10% every 3 seconds, yada yada yada. And this is like the only skill that reduces the opponent's damage, but it does not reduce the normal attack damage, which is also very important. And in actuality, the normal attack damage from Lu Bu is actually what ends up killing the season 10 archer. Yeah, and I don't think Khufu does anything to reduce the normal attack damage. So at the end of the day, it's really the season 10 infantry that's doing all the work. So yeah, I think this is it's definitely not a weak season. If the Cavalry hero wasn't there, I would definitely say that it is a weak season. But due to how strong the Cavalry hero is, how insanely strong he is, I think that this season is fairly powered. I just do not know what role the season 10 archer have. Like, we could look at the other battles here that I took, for example, against Crimson Knight, and see how the archer performed. That looks devastating. Like, holy crap, that looks bad. Like, what is the archer even doing here? It looks so freaking bad. Like, I think I would get better results without Lubu, without the archer, and just running your classic season 8 6/6. I think I'll get like better results from that. We could even try it. So get rid of Lubu and the archer and just run Khufu, her, and maybe her as maybe a third team. And yeah, we can run this as a second team, no problem. Yeah, I just don't know. It's really awkward. So in this team, we will not need too many archer. We can have more cavalry and more infantry, of course. This is your fairly classic team, maybe a little more cavalry. And here we'll just run fewer archers for sure, maybe like 60,000, because I think the archer he is able to do the job with a very small troop count. I don't think he needs that many troops. 135. I'm actually tempted to use more cavalry than infantry, like completely serious here. Maybe I am. Let's just do that. Because the cavalry is kind of dealing all the damage here. Yeah, let's just go in with that. I think after this battle, I need to equip some armor on that cavalry for my team 3. Okay, so I mean, this team is just weak against the season 9 archer. I think it was my season 9 archer who did all the damage here rather than my cavalry. So now we are versus season 8 with that trash hero. Let's see if that hero survives anything of mine. So here I noticed that the hero took some damage but was able to survive. The cavalry died. And what's next? Like, what is this hero even doing right now? My cavalry is just going to kill this team, I think. Unless the archer hero can do something about it. No, he's dead. I guess the only downside of the cavalry is how slow his energy regens. So maybe in the future we'll get like an archer hero that helps with speeding up the energy regen of the team. Although that might be entirely a visual thing. So here I do expect the cavalry hero to die. I don't think he can pull any magic here. But let's take a quick look. Yeah, he's taking a lot of damage. And he's not really dealing a lot of damage either. So having a team is still important. If your infantry dies, then your cavalry hero is not going to do all that much. Let's just take a quick look at that. Did I lose this battle? No, I won this battle. So why is my kill count so weird? Did my Titanio kill them? Oh, yeah, it appears that my Titanio wiped out his team. How does that even work? Yeah, don't use the season 10 archer. Apparently makes your opponent's Titanio. It gives it the capability to wipe out your entire team. Yeah, no comment on that. Let's just move on to Crimson Knight. And let's see how... I'm going to run fairly standard now, about 150,000 maybe. And you can use my commentary or all of this footage to decide for yourself. I think right now, Season 10, although it is quite strong in a 1v1 setting, I think it kind of struggles versus some compositions, and especially being able to keep the archer alive, although that has been true for a lot of the past seasons. I think ever since season 7, the archer has just been very, very vulnerable. So yeah, this is completely due to the season 9 archer. We're just going to speed this up and go to fight number 2. And yeah, it is quite surprising how much damage this team is able to deal to me, in particular the opposing cavalry, despite me having awakened infantry versus him not having it. So the awakened infantry is really just there against other seasons. I think if you are in a mirror matchup, the awakened infantry is not that important. Although one thing that I should note is that it might be important for the Titanio stacking. If your infantry is able to use their rage skill and suppress a lot of the damage that is incoming from the Titanio, then that might be really impactful. Although we have not had the opportunity to really test these heroes in a rally based setting. So now his infantry is about to die. Let's take a look at how long it's going to take me to kill his cavalry. I'm barely dealing any damage to him. Like the amount of damage that my cavalry is dealing to his cavalry is equivalent to the amount of damage his cavalry is dealing to my freaking infantry. So I think it is quite safe to say that the season 10 cavalry is just as tanky as the season 10 infantry, which is crazy to think about. And here, yeah, my infantry is taking a crap load of damage. And I think versus this team, I kind of need the season 9 cavalry alive. Otherwise, it appears that I can't really pierce through whatever's suppressing my damage. I'm not too sure. But if we do end up facing Crimson Knight in the last battle, I kind of want to check, because I know that my team is not weak versus a 998 lineup. Like if we take a look at the report here, I was able to deal pretty much no damage to Crimson Knight. But versus, how strong is this guy? Not very strong. But if it was like a real hard counter, then I wouldn't do too well versus him either. I would expect to lose at least 70,000 troops. Like if I lose under 50,000 troops, then it would, yeah, I think, yeah, I just don't know how it works. The season 9 archer obliterated his front line, period. Nothing else about it. It's like, I guess this is why you want to use the season 9 archer, just to prevent circumstances where your enemy is running a composition that is very good against Joan of Arc plus Gilgamesh for some reason, and your season 9 archer is able to jump in, save the day, and wipe them out in one hit. Really, really freaking weird. So have I faced Andre before in a proper setup? Yes, I have. And I see that my team kind of died to his second team, is it? Yeah, I didn't perform too well versus this team. Very, very interesting. Like, it's just so weird because we know that the season 10 archer, it does not suppress the enemy damage at all, I don't think. But he is able to somehow prevent the infantry and cavalry from dying. I just don't know how it works. Or maybe my archer is dying too early. I can see that he was not even able to use his ultimate skill. Let's take a look at the first fight real quick. So now I'm going to maybe run more archers. Like, I can definitely reduce the number of infantry I'm running, and maybe cavalry as well. And let's try running more archers this time. And let's see if my archer can survive long enough to wipe out his second team. That is basically my goal going to this battle. So now, the first battle, I'm just going to fast forward. All right, it's dead. Like, can someone explain to me how this archer is doing so much damage and season 10 archer is doing no damage at all on the same team, like with his first ultimate? Okay, use your ultimate, please. And not much at all. Like, I just don't know how this works. Like, you can see that my archer, well, first of all, did my archer even use his ultimate? Let's quickly compare here. Emperor Qing, I think he uses his ultimate very quickly into the battle. So the battle starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but you're able to see that damage. And this is actually not a good example because it's a completely different team. But my previous fight, was it against Sunny Black or against Crimson Knight? Well, I guess Sunny Black was simply too weak because he took a lot of damage from my archer. Like a lot of damage. And Andre, he really didn't take much damage at all. But his team did very, very well versus mine. And that damage was spread out across all three heroes, kind of. Yeah, I think season 10 overall is definitely quite weird. Um, season 10 infantry and archer in combination with the season 10 infantry and cavalry in combination with the season 9 archer uh, is turning out to be a pretty solid composition, although it definitely will have counters to it. I'm not too sure what those counters might be because I haven't really lost. Like, can this be considered a theoretical loss? If we take a look at the stats, like my stats are higher than his, quite significantly higher. And my composition, admittedly, isn't the best, but you can see that the troop numbers are even. And he, yeah, like this composition is just super weird because you're running the season 10 archer together with the season 9 infantry as well as cavalry. I'm not too sure exactly what that composition is doing, but you can see a majority of my damage came from my Titanio rather than from my heroes, which is kind of disappointing, I guess. It's like you feel that the cavalry can be very strong, but versus certain composition, he just gets kind of suppressed. And the infantry is just doing absolutely no damage, which is even more disappointing, I might add. So yeah, if you're going to run this composition, I mean, not this composition, but the 10-10-9 composition in a 1v1 scenario, you don't need to run too many archers. Just run enough so that he can use his ultimate skill at least once, and then run the rest into your infantry as well as cavalry. So I'm going to fix my defense team real quick. For defense, I'm going to run maybe 50,000. I think that's more than enough. And then I'm going to run 130,000 and also maybe 125,000. Yeah, for the second team, pretty standard. And finally, for the third team, I do think that if you're going to run 866, that Dorothy with Chitorian's Arma is significantly better than Lubu with Chitorian's Arma. I don't know. That's too much. Yeah, let's leave it at that. And hopefully people can use my defense team to do a little bit of testing. But for now, I'm not going to use the Season 10 Archer. People are obviously using him to some degree of success. It does appear to be relatively decent in a Season 9 composition, for example, with the Season 9 Infantry as well as Cavalry. That might be an option to run over this composition, for example. We saw how poorly this composition performed versus Season 10. So I might actually switch it out. I think that, yeah, I might actually switch it out. If I do switch out the Archer, then I will run probably full Season 8 or 8-8-6-8. So Lu Bu with Stratorian's Arma and then the Season 8 Archer. And then for this team, I'll run 9-9-10. So yeah, that is my first impressions of the Season 10 heroes. I hope everyone enjoyed. To give a quick summary, I think that the Season 10 Infantry hero is, her Awakening skill is very needed if you are going against other compositions, not necessarily versus mirror compositions. I think the Season 10 Cavalry is a very, very, very strong hero overall with a pretty badass Awakening skill, conferring a 21% increased damage dealt and a 21% decreased damage taken in most scenarios. The Season 10 Archer, I think, is quite weird. If nobody finds any use for him, then I'll ask the developers to give him some kind of defensive buff or multiple defensive buffs. But I think that he kind of needs one and dies a little too easily. Although in that one battle example, we saw that the Archer is actually quite healthy. So yeah. But he also ran quite a few Archers. Yeah, I don't know. This is really, really weird. Like, I'm not doing much melee damage. I'm not doing much raid skill damage. Like, this infantry is doing absolutely no melee damage. And that is just absolutely shocking. Like this skill, I kind of wish this skill didn't exist, to be honest. Like, deal 30% less damage and take 70% less damage. Like, why does this skill need to exist? Like, after the first 20 seconds, this is a completely wasted skill. I think Joan of Arc would be so much better with almost any skill from Season 6 onwards compared to this. Like, this is just a terrible skill. I think it might have something to do with preventing you from dying to the Season 9 Archer. But yeah, I'm really not too sure. And we saw in our combat examples that Joan of Arc took a lot of damage at the beginning of fights. So I'm not too sure to what extent this skill is actually working. Maybe some people can test this skill at different levels and see whether this skill is really working or not. Because I know the Land of Empire has been known to provide us some rather fake skills. I'm not going to go into which exact skill is actually fake, but basically this skill confers no protection at all. I think this is the skill in question. When we tested with Osiris, we found that he took so much more damage compared to other infantry heroes such as Neptunarch, who has this defensive skill, for example. But anyways, I won't ramble on. This has been my first impressions of Season 10 heroes. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed. Look forward to my next video. Take care.